nervous because I'm here now.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin here with my co-host James Haskell. In this episode, we're going to discuss the most recent tweet from Orlando Brown Jr. But before we do, if you could give us a subscribe, hit the like, and stay up to date on all the most recent Ravens news. But yeah, just to give you a little backstory, it was a couple weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Orlando Brown tweeted, "I'm a left tackle," in bold or in caps. And kind of sent the Ravens fan base kind of into a state of confusion, wondering what does this mean? Does this, and then a lot of people guessing it was financial, it was this, it was that. But he later tweeted most recently, I think a day ago, and clarified his reasons on behind, why he tweeted, "I'm a left tackle." And Jimmy, you have that next tweet?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically what he said in clarification, of course, of his forward forward tweet. He said, "It's never been about the money. I'm so appreciative for this organization, all my teammates. I couldn't thank DaCosta enough. He's an incredible football mind and one of the best men I know. I want to live out my dream that dad had for me." And then he said, this is, him being quoted here. It says, "I remember him," as in my dad, telling my high school coach at DeMatha, if he can't play left tackle, put him on defense." Brown joked. "My freshman year of high school, they didn't feel like I could play left tackle, so they put me at defensive tackle. A shell of a player who would be in a shell of a player he would be in years to come. Brown wasn't given the luxury to sit idly and slowly develop the requisite skills to play left tackle." So just as a quick follow up to that, he said, once again, it's about being better than his dad. He said, "Growing up in my household, if you were going to play O-line, like I said, you weren't going to play on the right side. You were going to play left tackle." It was one of those deals where he felt as though the right tackle, and especially at the time when he played, he felt the right tackle was not considered the best tackle on the offensive line and in the offensive lineman room. And his mentality and approach was, "I want you to be better than me from day one." So when I started playing offensive line, it was always him working me on the left side. So what he's saying there is that, look, just to clarify, it's not about the money for me. I guess he's standing on principle, his father's legacy, things like that, wants to be better than his dad, as his dad wanted him to be. And that's the reason why he said, "I'm a left tackle."
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad he clarified. I guess I'm glad he clarified, but I don't know if that's necessarily good news for Ravens fans, because it just doesn't seem like he's going to be happy playing on the right side of the line, judging by what he's saying here. I'm surprised to hear that his dad kind of looked down on being a right tackle, because that's what he did his whole career, and he was a fantastic right tackle. But to hear that it sounded like he was relatively disappointed from having to play there, considering, I mean, he considered it to be a step down from left tackle, and which I get it. I mean, they're paid that way. So, but I mean, man, you're talking about one of how many jobs in the world, Jimmy, to be disappointed. That just shows it's just surprising to me that he would be so unhappy playing right tackle, when I think that if you had to rank them as importance, you may rank left tackle 1, but that would mean right tackle would have to be 2, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the offensive line goes, certainly.
And they're all 5 important. All 5 offensive line positions are important, but I would go 1, 2, and then maybe center 3, or I don't know. I guess you could argue
it depends on the offense.
Yeah, you could argue different, but it's disappointing in that it sounds to me, and judging from his past, that if he's not playing left tackle, he's not happy. And I don't know if any amount of convincing from Eric or John or anyone is going to be able to convince him that right tackle is still important, still good enough, still really a big position, and as far as if you want to win the Super Bowl. But man, I don't think he's ever going to be happy as a right tackle now. So it's good, maybe, I guess, that it's not money based, but either way, he doesn't sound like he's going to be a happy right tackle, and no amount of convincing is going to change that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really one of two scenarios at that point then, right? He's kind of painted himself into a corner, and if he's done so on purpose, that's fine. But it's either you've let everyone know that you're going to be an unhappy right tackle here in Baltimore, or that you want to be traded so you can play left tackle. Like, those are the only two scenarios. You can't be a happy right tackle, right? It's unhappy right tackle in Baltimore, Well, I guess there's a potential third. Do
Well,
something with Stanley, which is not realistic, guys. Like, don't.
he's better.
He's better,
Stanley is a better left
and it
tackle.
makes no financial sense, strategical sense to do
No.
anything but play Ronnie Stanley at left tackle.
Well, so to me, this tells me, and I'm going to ask you a question, Jimmy, because it tells me there's no chance he'd sign an extension as a right tackle, right?
Right.
But do you think they could convince him, because this is his last year, right, of his rookie deal?
Yep.
Could they convince him? We understand that you're likely going to be gone next year, but can you play one more season at right tackle and not, rock the boat or not do it so unhappily, or not turn to the media and, yeah, I know I had a decent game, but I'd still rather be at left. Like, can he play one more year and then cash in next year somewhere else, while we think that the Ravens are still, a Super Bowl contender? Like, do you think they could convince him to do it this year and then he walks for nothing? Or would you rather them trade him now and get something for him? Like, what's your hope that the Ravens can do here?
Yeah, I want to trade him.
Hmm.
I want to trade him because I have confidence in our front office that at right tackle we can find a viable substitute, if depending on the pick, or picks. I mean, goodness gracious, it could be, everyone's a lot, not everyone, but a lot of people said a one. A couple people have said, it could be a couple higher mid-round draft picks. But yeah, I'm okay with it, because look, if you have to tell a guy if you have to sell a guy on being bought in to a championship contending team, right? Everybody knows that one of the most important things about a championship team and a dynasty in general is that role definition is super important. It is extremely important, right? Everyone knows their role and they play it to perfection. And sometimes that requires sacrifice. I'm in any sport. Obviously, like Chris Bosh wanted better stats, I'm sure, but I'm sure he wanted championships too. So,
Yeah.
one outweighed the other. I think that, and it's easy for us as fans to say, that I'd rather compete for a championship and play my preferred position. But, he's got this element of living out his dad's legacy, and that's got to be, interesting emotion to deal with. So I'm not inside his head, but yeah, certainly I don't think that it makes sense for them to try and sell him on the idea of playing for a contender, a team that's where his value's high. He's going to get to plow people over, run the ball all the time. He's not going to have more fun than here.
Right. And I think that's the big point, is that every player we've heard come through Baltimore over the last couple of years has said that, they love playing offensive line here, because you
Yeah.
get to go at people rather than dropping back and let them come after you in pass pro. So do you think that there's a chance, Jimmy, that after, however the dust settles, whether he leaves this year, next year, it sounds like he's definitely not going to be here in 2 years, this could be a situation where the grass isn't greener? Maybe he gets that left tackle position in a more pass happy or pass heavy offense, and he realizes, man, this isn't as fun as playing with the Ravens. This organization isn't as supportive to its players, or isn't as honest to its players, which we hear a lot of former players rave about the honesty the organization, has with its players. And do you think he could end up regretting this decision, and maybe, wish he kind of didn't, chase this left tackle dream?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, like you said, when you're younger, it's easy to look around and see what others have, and like you said, say the grass is greener on the other side. But I think it will certainly be that situation. I mean, imagine they ship him off to a perpetual loser, Detroit Lions. I mean, a team like, I know Jacksonville's on the upswing, like potentially, but we don't know what they're going to be. We don't know what Trevor Lawrence. There's a ton of question marks there. Or we could name a whole bunch of teams
Yeah.
that fall into that category. So yeah, it's a tough one, man, because then how do you ask a guy, what do you think your dad would be more proud of? You living out your dream as an NFL player here in Baltimore, or you playing right tackle somewhere else? That's not, what I mean? And then how do you even question that? And part of the reason why, this might be me being cynical, but part of the reason why I think he did this was to create a buffer, because you can't question a guy about, the relationship with him and his dad who's passed, right? Maybe I'm being a little
You
bit
can't.
here.
I was thinking about questioning it.
But you can, but I mean, you can only go so far, right?
Yeah, like it to me, is it just that, I mean, to me, it's like, so yeah, your father had hopes and dreams of you playing left tackle. Does that mean you're a failure to play right tackle, a position in which he played his entire career and it's still extremely valuable in the league? It's one of the more valuable positions. Like, it's almost like he looks at playing right tackle as a failure because it's not the most highly regarded position on the offensive line. And I mean, I guess there we'll disagree. I think it's extremely
Yeah.
important. So that's my whole thing. Like, it just seems like he's so driven by his dad's dream. And is this his dad's dream? Is this his dream? I guess it's turned into his dream, but I don't know. It just it's surprising that he's letting that completely. It seems like completely dictate the future of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, he could end up being on a perpetual loser. He could end up being at a place that he's not nearly as happy as he is here. But he won't know that. And you know how it is with young guys. I mean, I had to learn a lot of stuff on my own rather than listening to the advice of people older than me that have come before me. Sometimes you just have to learn on your own. And now we're not saying that there's not also the chance that he could get traded, become a left tackle, be very happy, and play for a winner. That could absolutely happen as well. But it's just surprising that he's so adamant
Mm-hmm.
and and doesn't seem willing to flex much on this decision. Um, but yeah, I guess we'll have to just wait and see what happens. But let me
Yeah.
ask you this, because if they get picks for him, I'm looking at the projections. I pulled up a couple mocks and just looking at the tackle position to see what the Ravens would be looking at if they needed to replace him. And you can look at a bunch of, I mean, there's a million mocks out there. I have CBS pulled up. I have drafttech.com. I have Walter. There's a bunch of them, but it looks to me, Jimmy, that there is options. I mean, like any year at tackle that they could come in and help us. Um, I see 5 or 6 ranked in the top 45 at the tackle position on one site. It's similar, I think 7 ranked in the top 45 on another site of
Mm-hmm.
tackles. So it looks like there will be options out there. But as we know, the draft is no guarantee. So
Right.
if you come out of that draft without a guy who can play right tackle at near the level that he can, it would still be a loss for the Ravens in their window that I think a lot of fans think may be, closing, because soon you're going to have to pay Hollywood. You're going to have to pay Mark Andrews. You got to pay Lamar Jackson. You got to pay these guys, which of course eliminates some of your cap flexibility. So if they trade, how confident are you that they can replace him with a guy who can at least be good enough to make his a championship run?
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird to me. I'm confident.
Okay.
I feel not that, and this isn't to devalue what he does.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel confident that the Ravens have done a good enough job scouting and drafting tackles
Mm-hmm.
and have committed themselves to spending high draft picks on those positions. First to third. Have they done the same for the interior of the line? No, but for the bookends, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so just one team that does come to mind as far as a potential sleeper for a trade partner. It was Bill Belichick that switched Orlando Brown Sr.
Mm-hmm.
from defensive line to O line back in his Brown days when he
Mm.
was the coach over there, and really kind of helped him start on his ascension to becoming at the time the high, in the future the highest paid right tackle in the NFL. So high regard for his father. He knows Orlando Brown Jr. Because of that relationship. So you could see a team like the Patriots want to step in and give up a couple picks. Obviously, they're not great drafters anyway. It's been a decade or something since they've drafted a first round Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
So maybe they want a guy that's a guaranteed pick, and something like
They got
that. But
cap room. That's
yeah,
true.
but let me ask you this, Glenn.
Mhm.
Will it happen? What tell the future here. Will it happen? Will the draft so not before the draft, will a trade occur?
I think it will at this point. When we did our first video about this after his "I'm a left tackle" tweet, I said no.
Mhm.
I thought the Ravens were too close to being a Super Bowl contender to give up a bona fide right tackle. But after this latest tweet, it seems that he is adamant. I mean, this guy is the same guy who didn't even play offense. He played defense until they were willing to give him the left tackle position. Uh, he does not seem like a guy and while it's not motivated by money, I mean, of the highest of the 25 highest paid offensive tackles in the league, only 6 are right tackles. So even though he says it's not money, I'm sure there's still a small sliver of that pie that is due to money because I mean the numbers are what the numbers are. They get paid less to play right than they do to play left. So I think it's while he says it's his father's and his dream and that's the motivator, I believe him. But I think there's those other things that are also weighing on him. And I don't know how the Ravens can convince him to overlook his father's dream, his dream, the lack, the lower pay, and he's shown in his past that he's willing to kind of stick to his guns. So unfortunately, because I like Orlando and I like having a dominant, big, fierce offensive line, and he's definitely a part of that. I think he ends up being gone, and I think the Ravens are able to get a bunch of picks from him. I think they get more than just one. I'm hoping they can get a first, but if they could get a 2-3, and maybe a later one after that. But I think a 2-3, remember they draft him in the 3rd round. So you're
Right.
flipping a third for, a 2 and a 3. That's still good when you look at it at the grand scheme of things. But if they can't find a replacement with one of those or one of their other picks, I mean, really, we don't know if this will be a success until we see him on week 1. We need to know that they can replace him because if they come in there with just DJ Fluker and Tyree Phillips, sharing time at right tackle, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to be upset. But if they can come in and replace him with a guy who maybe not up to his level as far as being a Pro Bowler right off the break like he was, maybe they could just make him serviceable, middle of the pack, 12 to 15 type tackle in the league. Then then it's okay. Then I'm happy with it because that would mean they're also drafting another position with the other draft pick because I do expect it to be a package of draft picks, not just a single pick for them.
Right. No, yeah, it's going to be absolutely interesting to see what happens here. This is an interesting dynamic that isn't very common that we've seen, especially for a guy to be able to flex his muscles in the pro level, like you talked about. You've seen at high
We
school,
see it a lot
college.
more lately, though, with
Yeah,
players kind of
absolutely. So
dictating their way in and out of teams.
yeah, so it's going to be certainly interesting. So you guys let us know what you think. Will a trade occur? That's the, at the end of the day, that's the
Or will the
question.
Ravens play hardball and say,
Right.
look, you're under contract. So what are you going to sit and give up all your money or are you going to play one last year?
Right. And the
Seems
follow-up
risky.
question to that would be, do you think it is detrimental to the team that you have to sell a guy on playing for a team that's so close to a championship, right? So let us know what your thoughts are. Leave all your comments below. Hit that like button, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.